Hear us? Does that work? Can y'all hear us?
Testing.
I only got the one mic, so we're gonna have to share it. So can y'all hear us? Dang, what up, everybody? What up, Evie, Urza, Adam, Escape, Shogun tomorrow, Rogue, Mike, Jeopardy Champ. I should have asked if they could hear. I should have waited for the response if they could hear us before saying hey to everybody.
We don't even know.
There are 38 people watching this. Ain't nobody interested in this. They're just watching it because we're on.
Surely one of the comments would be like, hey, we can't hear you.
Maybe.
At this point, if they couldn't hear us.
Maybe. None of my students better like find their way onto this stupid thing after I didn't see them today. They can leave me alone. I'm quitting.
Hello. Evie says they're all bots.
Anita, I said hey to you. Oh, maybe I didn't.
Evie also said that they can hear us.
Oh, okay. All right, good. Anyway, welcome to Adventures in Autism. That's what I call it? Adventures in Aspergers? Okay. This is probably not the best one to do as the first one, as I'm not going to talk a whole lot about how I found out that I had Asperger's here because my wife's here. So this probably shouldn't have been number one.
Oops.
Yeah. So if you're new, if you stumble across this because you were looking up stuff like this, I have Asperger's. My wife does not. So you should watch the one where I talk about it, which is probably the second one. Here we're specifically going to talk about what it's like being married to someone on the spectrum, because I have had difficulty in relationships prior to this, and that's like, oh, that's not a unique to the autism experience, because you've had difficulty in relationships for this too, and plenty of people who are neurotypical have plenty of problems in relationships.
Amen to that.
Yeah, because everyone is a bonehead. But
relationships are hard.
Yeah, they're hard. So yeah. Okay, so for really quickly, then I also have been diagnosed with ADHD. But my original diagnosis was OCD, and ADHD and OCD are all like comorbid with, like everyone has ADHD, isn't on the spectrum, and not everybody who's on the spectrum has those things, but they are things that can appear. And my first thing was OCD, and it was not explaining everything. And then, my doctor was like, hey, have you heard of Asperger's? And I'm like, huh? And he let me, and I'm like, oh. So I was like, all right. I was diagnosed when I was 30. So I had a whole lot of problems growing up because I didn't know what was wrong with me. And by wrong with me, look, that's the first thing you're gonna. Let's go ahead, boom, let's knock that one out. I use shorthand, and Christina had to learn this. This is one of the communication things. We're going to talk about communication a lot. I use what I call it shorthand. So when I say what's wrong with me, that is like, you can get mad at that if you want, but I'm not saying that there's something like dysfunctional about people who are on the spectrum. What's wrong with me is just the easiest way to convey what I'm saying. Like, does that make sense? You know that, right, Christina? When I
have learned this. So yeah. I tend to be very precise with my language. I think that words matter, and so I'm very careful about
that. Implies that you think that I don't think words matter.
Well, no, I do know that you know that words matter.
I can't believe we started. But
I'm just very particular, and so I tend to I want to rephrase things for him. I'm like, well, what you mean is this.
Well, you, as you have told it to me, say that you do not like being misunderstood or misinterpreted.
Yes, that's very important to me. So that may be why I try to be very precise with how I explain my thoughts and views.
We'll get to this
because I don't like being misunderstood or misrepresented. So that could be a reason.
I would rather say the thing that's easiest. And so you guys hear me all the time. You've heard me chatting with nuts all my videos all the time. Like, I'm trying to think of a really good example of me shorthanding where it is not the best way to say the thing, but the best way to say it is too long. and requires way too much, like, oh, well, you know, if, I mean, again, it's like, what? No, just like that thing sucks or whatever. Like I do this all the time. One Piece fans hate me for it. I'm like, this thing sucks. What that means is, in shorthand, like what that means is I don't like what this character has become. I don't like the Flanderization of this character and about how memeified this thing has become on the internet. I find him amusing, but I just don't like the fact that it keeps reappearing and that everyone like thinks it's like pretends like this is their favorite character, even though there's no reason. That is too long. It is easier for me to say that guy sucks. That guy sucks. And Christina understands that. Like Christina and the people who are close to me.
Now.
Yeah. Yes, we're gonna talk about that. Yeah. So one of, and referencing the One Piece things that I was just referencing that I've been talking on. I have been misunderstood like my whole life, where I act one way and I think like here's a story. I was dating a girl in college.
What?
And whatever. Her family hated me, but whatever. I got invited for Thanksgiving, and like I was having a good time. Like everyone was being really nice. I was helping make the food, and I thought I was being amusing or whatever. And then they wanted to watch Finding Nemo, and I said, Finding Nemo is a bad movie. Like, as far as Pixar's concerned, like the humor is so much a step down in Finding Nemo. Like, compare the humor in Toy Story 1 versus the humor in Finding Nemo, which is like, look, it's a butt instead of boat. Those aren't equal in brow level. And I thought we were having a rousing discussion about the degradation of Pixar cinema. I was not. And as soon as like Thanksgiving was over and I got back to my house, I was told that I was not invited back for Christmas. And legitimately, guys, that's all I did. Like all I did was have a disagreement about Finding Nemo. Seriously, I'm not even kidding. And like this even includes these freaking stuffed shirt teenagers that were there, that were part of the extended family. Freaking Massachusetts. Anyway, it was very uncomfortable. But this happened to me my entire life, where I am like, don't understand like how I'm coming across or whatever. And so this has happened to me in the One Piece discussions. And it's really hard for me because, it's like I don't really understand why you hate me, because I'm not trashing the thing that you like. I'm just expressing an opinion, which I guess you're not allowed to have everywhere, especially the internet, right? What are you lolling at?
I don't remember what
I don't know. Anyway, Christina had to learn about my shorthand and stuff because I used to offend her with stuff. Yeah, precision. There you go. I think it's shorthand. So do you want to say anything?
Well, and vice versa. I actually sometimes I'm Southern. We talk around things in the South. We don't come out. We're not blunt people. And there were times when I was trying to communicate something and I'm going all the way around it. Like I think that I'm being really clear, and Alan is just like, "What?
What are you saying?" And I end up misunderstanding
because I'm not actually precise, because I think I'm being really polite and gentle.
And as it says down in the description for this video, we're not a monolith. Like those of us on the spectrum, we're not a monolith, right? Like, and there are different levels. And I'm going to say Asperger's. I should have said this at the beginning. If you're down in the comments being like, Asperger's is no longer a diagnosis, it's now called autism spectrum disorder, get out of my face. It's Asperger's, and that's what I call it. Don't you tell me what I am. Like, get out of my face with that. I hate that. Oh, well, it's not a thing, Hush. So, I forgot I got on this tangent. Oh,
you're like, where are we?
So we're not a monolith, but one thing that is there are things that are common among people on the spectrum. One, and this is how I can generally tell if like a student is on the spectrum without looking it up. Like it's like a guessing game. Eye contact is one big thing. I hate eye contact. I'll make a bigger video about eye contact all on its own. I hate it. I'm not good at it. I don't like it. I do it rarely. Christina, I make eye contact with her all the time. That's fine. And you know, my really close friends. Oh, I told you the weird story about Finding Nemo to hear. Like my friends that are close, I don't have to pretend to be someone I'm not. Like they understand that I am the way that I am, which is loud and like, what are you doing, idiot? Like that. Like, you know. And I don't have to pretend to be anybody else. And that is freeing, which is why I've had the same friends for forever. And I don't want to give them up because I don't have to, what's called masking. I don't have to pretend like I'm not the way I am. And, you know, like I do out in public. It's exhausting. It's absolutely exhausting. I am fortunate in that I was in theater and like to act when I was younger. So I'm better at masking than many people, but eye contact is one. And another thing is explicit instructions. Like we need explicit instructions. So for me, when Christina is doing the Southern like beating around the bush thing, I often lose the issue. I don't understand exactly what was needed. And as Christina will tell you, yeah, what would I know? Exactly. She says all the time that I am because everyone thinks that Christina's nice. Like all my students, they think Christina's nice, and then I'm not nice. And I have to say, y'all don't understand how freaking nice I am. Listen to that tone. Listen to that tone. I just did. Totally. But Christina will tell you that I am kind. I'm just not gentle. And I'm not. I'm not gentle, and I've never been gentle. Like that's not who I am. Like I don't know how to be gentle, really.
I'm gonna say that's not 100%.
It's
true.
mostly true.
It doesn't come naturally to you.
It doesn't. So hard.
But you've definitely stepped up when I've needed, like,
that's
like
true.
if I'm really upset or something.
That's true. That's true. When it is really necessary, like someone's really upset, I know that hollering at someone when they're really upset is not going to do any good. Like I do know that. But like normally, like if someone's not normally upset, like when my kids are like, I don't want to, I'm like, do it. Like freaking do it. I don't care. Oh, you don't want that? Hey, guess what I don't want to do? Be here wasting my time with you. Do the work. Like, you know, like that's not gentle, right?
Right.
Yeah. But I can be.
You can be very gentle. Mm-hmm. And I've seen you with students. I've seen you like with me, obviously. And yeah.
And Evie is 100% correct. Women with Asperger's are much better at masking because they're expected to be. Like women are expected to, you know, act a certain way, even more so than we are. So women with on the spectrum are better at, with high functioning autism, are better at masking, and so are like much widely less diagnosed. Rather, I agree, Matt. Melly Asperger's. There we go. Yeah. Okay. So I have a whole nother video about the politeness of lies. Job interviews. Those of you here or watching later who are on the spectrum, how do you feel about job interviews? Job interviews are legitimately the worst thing I can think of because they are designed to be punitive toward people on the spectrum because they are not important. Nothing you're talking about in a job interview is important. You are supposed to lie, like you're not supposed to tell the truth. Like when someone says, "Hey, what's your greatest weakness?" No one wants me to say I'm easily overwhelmed, and sometimes I'm easily overwhelmed and I procrastinate. No one wants to hear that. Like no one really wants to hear what my weakness is. Oh, and I also don't know how to be assertive without getting upset. Like I have difficulty like regulating that emotion. No one wants to hear that. They want me to hear, well, I think my biggest weakness is I think it's caring too much. Like I think I'm a perfectionist, so I just care so much about my work, and it's trash. Like it's garbage, absolute garbage. And so I'm bad at them. I have never had a good job interview because I don't know how to talk about myself with lies. So I despise them. Like I hate them so much. So yeah, agreed. Why do I have to run a resume if I'm just gonna have to tell it? Like selling yourself, I don't know what that means. Like selling myself to where? Where? Are we in ancient Athens and I'm selling myself to go work in Rhodes to help construct the Colossus? Is that what I'm selling myself to do? Am I indentured? Do I owe money? Like, is that what this is? Did I take out too big of a loan on my field? So, it's just like, I hate it. I hate it so much.
I will say, I don't know that most people are like, I love interviews.
No one likes it. Like Finn hates them too, but Finn is the best job interview I've ever seen. That's because 98% of the crap that comes out of Finn's mouth is bullshark. Yes, it's bullshark. That's it. And if you watch this, Finn, you know it. That's why Finn and I work so well, because Finn is he's the bullshark. Like, he gets stuff done. I'm the idea guy, and Finn makes it happen through schmoozing and bullshark. I can't do it. Being disingenuous really bothers me. That's another thing that I really struggle with on BookTube, is when I see people being disingenuous. And again, it is what I assume is disingenuous, mostly because people will say things like, they will say things and then they will do things that in no way like agree with the words they say. I tell my students all the time, hey guys, like, either the words or the actions are true if they're conflicting. Like,
and it's usually the action.
Of course, it's always the action, because words are free. Words are free. Anyway, that's cannibalizing. So
thank you, Tori.
Oh, Sal likes it too. It's a dress, actually.
Yes, it
Sal.
is a dress.
You'll see if she gets up to go to the bathroom. Anyway, so Jimmy wants to know, how long after we got together did I start yelling when I was really just talking?
Okay, so before we got together, I heard him yelling when he was really just talking.
Oh, that's right.
We
almost didn't start dating because I scared her with my loud,
your passion,
talking.
So he invited me to a Bible.
We were talking about the Book of Romans
that he was leading, and
I got very into the Book of Romans.
Guy's like I remember
I was banging the table.
He was banging the table, banging his Bible to make it important. I was like, he's a literal Bible thumper. You like hit your Bible at one point. It was in your one hand and you were thumping it with the other.
I was making a point.
And then even you like set your glass down violently.
That's just how I do things.
And I was very cautious because my first dating relationship, the guy I dated, was he would yell at me a lot. And I was like, I do not like yelling. Like, it does not feel safe to me. It does not feel stable. And I need those things in a relationship. So I was genuinely nervous about it. But also I was very intrigued by, the things that Alan was saying. He was not being like that ex that I dated. He was not being aggressive or mean. He was being passionate. And, there's a big difference.
And that's another thing. And my tone. So again, like, I have gotten in trouble my entire life for my tone. And that is another thing that tends to be in common with people on the spectrum, is the tone in which we speak. And I don't mean to sound like this. Like, my bosses, my admin at school, all think I'm like mad all the time. And I'm not. But it's just like when we're at meetings, which is the only time they talk to me, like, we're all together and they talk to me, they're asking me a question and I'm answering it, and it's a problem with the school. And so I sound irritated because this thing should be fixed. I'm passionate about fixing it. So I sound like this all the time. But one of the big things we had to deal with is I have difficulty, like I talked about. I really struggle with being mad and not like when I was younger, I had temper problems when I was a teenager and all this stuff. I didn't know how to deal with it. Like I never hit a wall. Like I am not okay. First of all, guys, here we go. Lean in. Hashtag Walker Life Lesson. Guys, don't punch walls. Like don't like. I get that sometimes you want to burn off some steam. Like throw a pillow. Like throw a pillow at a wall at something they can break. Punch it. Like I do understand having energy and you feeling need the excess energy to go somewhere. I do. But there are way too many people, and ain't none of them watching this stream, but there are way too many people who punch the wall to prove how tough they are and to frighten the people with them. And do you know who can't control it and has to punch the wall? Do you know who does that? Toddlers. Gasp. I have to tell my students this all the time. Guys, like we are gifted with the ability of self-control. Like we are. We're not 3. So don't punch the wall to intimidate your partner. Like that makes you a douchebag. Like it just does. Like stop. Ain't nobody scared of you. Like nobody's scared of you. Whatever. So I do get really, really worked up. And I can't bring it down. Like this, like Christina will tell you, like when I work myself up to, and I can feel myself spiraling. We've gotten to the point where I say, Christina, I'm spiraling. I am spiraling. And the more I talk about what's bothering me, the more I'm feeding it, and I get really worked up. So we have to, when I was young, I didn't know it was wrong. So I just got mad. But now, I throw stuff, but I've never thrown anything that I was going to break, because I always have the presence of mind to not break crap that I'm going to want when I'm not mad. And I've never thrown anything at Christina.
Oh,
ever.
No.
But when I get really upset, that's exactly what it is. Lacey. I have to, like, when I'm really upset about something, like I start yelling. And this was a problem when we first started a relationship, because Christina, like, because of that relationship, is really like,
I have I don't so much anymore.
Not anymore.
But yeah. I would have a physical like anxiety response where it's like my heart rate is increasing. I'm in like fight or flight mode. I feel scared. I feel alarmed. And even now, there will be times when I'm just like maybe a little overstimulated, or it's not the same kind of thing, but I can ask him like, hey, you're raising your voice, and like I'm not in a place where I can really navigate that right now. And I might say like, I might ask him if he can lower his voice, and if he can't, I might say something like, I'm gonna step out of the room. You are welcome to talk to yourself, and I'll be back. Yeah. I need to go like regulate. Mm-hmm. But when we were first dating, though, it was much more problematic because it was a trigger for me from a previous relationship. And the difference was in the content of what he was yelling about.
Yeah.
Because again, like he was not name calling, blaming. And it really wasn't ever, it was very rarely about me, actually. Yeah. When Alan was raising his voice, it was usually like the problems of the world. And so it would be like politics and
it's usually
cultural things.
It's usually about corruption, things that are unfair, the fact that that I work too hard for no reason. No one cares about what I do, which I'm on that again. So I've come up and now I've come down again, because my brother decided that his kid is going to not go to my school next year. So not even my brother thinks I'm good at my job. So, okay, that is apropos of nothing. But yes, Christy, I don't understand this thing where people act like you have to pretend like your marriage is perfect and that like you agree all the time on everything. And like what? We don't agree on all this stuff like ever. And we certainly don't have it all figured out. We have found what works for us most of the time. We had a miscommunication yesterday that we, got bent out of shape about. And then we'll talk about how we sort out when we get bent out of shape with each other. But also,
I will say that, just like you were saying, Christy, that communication issues are normal in relationships, like period. And while Alan's autism does mean that
Sophia's got to go out.
Everybody everybody's brains work differently, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. And that's all that autism means, is that Alan's brain works differently than mine. And it works differently in ways that have been studied, and there's a name for it, but that doesn't mean that it's going to be that much different than being in a relationship with just anybody, because all of our brains work different. We've got all the personality tests and all the, like, people think differently about things.
Yeah.
And I guess maybe the like mind blindness might be one of the harder things, is that
for sure. I have that on my, it's the top, look at that, it's the first thing on my document. It's
a little bit easier for me to figure out his perspective than it is for him to figure out my perspective.
Yeah.
It's not that he can never see things from somebody else's point of view, but it's just not necessarily going to be easy for him.
So Matt, so I'm not loud all the time. Like, believe it or not, I am super introverted and quiet when I am around a bunch of people I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
Like, this is only how I talk on my camera with you guys, because I like
with close friends.
Yeah, and with close friends and like your family and stuff. But I am not.
You can be very quiet around my family too, actually.
That's true. Like, I'm just, if I'm not comfortable, I'm quiet. Like, well, sometimes I'm quiet around your family because y'all are talking and I'm just listening and doing my crosswords. But like,
because you're like, I have nothing to add to this
conversation. Yeah, correct. So I'm not loud all the time either. And yet, no, I've gotten the hey, you're being quiet over there thing. Like, put a pin in the, like, remind me to come back to the doing stuff while people are around thing.
Okay.
Hold on. So sorry, I'm trying to catch up with this thing.
Yeah, we're a little behind.
Yeah, dysregulation is super hard.
I will also say, I didn't get to say this about his tone earlier, but I have had to learn not to assume when I think that I hear a tone that I'm here, that he actually means it that way.
Yeah, I forgot about that.
And actually, there was something earlier today. I don't even remember what it was. But I was about to leave to go teach, and Alan needed we call them mental health days. He needed a day, so he was at home today. I'm about to leave, and something that he said came across with a tone to me, and I've learned that I need to ask, like, you sound irritated, or you sound this. Is that true? Because if I just assume, half the time I'm wrong. Like, it just sounds.
And it's not even like what she's saying is like, that's what like counselors tell you to say. Like, it all sounds very counselor speak. It doesn't always appear exactly like that. No, she'll say what, and then I repeated it, but in a different tone, and she understood what I was trying to say. Like, the way I was saying it, I think it was about the pizza like dripping on the oven or something. I don't know. Whatever. But when I get worked up and I holler, I always say, I am not mad at you, like, in any way. I do not know how to not be upset about this, because I'm also really good about understanding that the way I'm acting is not reasonable. Like, I am unreasonably upset about this thing. And I do not want to be this way. I do not want to be upset right now.
And it actually makes him more upset.
Yes, because I don't want to be reacting the way I'm reacting about this. Like, there's no reason that I should be upset about this thing. I am upset about this thing and this thing only. I am not upset at you, but I do not know how to express my emotions other than by volume. I express my emotions through volume. And I don't want to be like, I'm not yelling at you. Like, every time I'm like, I am not yelling at you. Like, I don't yell at you ever, right?
Yeah, I mean, we raise our voices at each other when we're irritated, but it's not the same as.
No, it's not the same as yelling. No.
No, I don't know how to describe it. It's just, we don't. Yeah.
I'm trying to look at these things. Describe an emotional response. Poorly regulated. It's not. Yeah, that's me. Compounded. Oh, legally blind. Oh, yeah. Someone drives you. Yeah, Christina has one of her employees is legally blind. Has to do the same thing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I get it, Tori. Also, you're supposed to be quiet during the game. Do you hear that, Anita? So hold on. Yes, there are cultures that are much louder, but we're not supposed to be one.
So I will say that was the guy that I dated first.
He was Hispanic, right?
Is
and the culture is
Hispanic.
louder.
Hispanic cultures generally are more passionate, and that's the excuse that he kept giving me. But I have since learned that there's a difference between just passion, and it was always very specifically blaming me. Everything was my fault. And he was like, I'm just passionate. And I was like, this doesn't feel safe to me. It doesn't feel stable. I do not like this.
Yeah.
So anyway.
Yeah. So that's another thing. So another thing is, and that I have a whole, like I literally have a page and a half on a Google Doc of things with Asperger's. One of the things is I love the way Anita and Evie and Jimmy, and really most of my friends on BookTube respond to the way that I am to them, which is mean. I have difficulty relating to people. This is a big thing with people on the spectrum. I have a really difficult time relating to people. This is why, like, I love some of my students, the students that I'm really close to. I love those kids, but when they graduate, I have a really hard time relating to them as not my students, because when we used to talk about Greek history, Roman history, and Latin, and high school, now they are in a world that I'm not in. And it's weird to me talking to them about the life of college students and adulthood, because I am less interested in that just in general. And I don't know how to relate to people. This is why I have such a hard time making friends. I really struggle to talk to people about what interests them when it doesn't interest me. And I realize that is I realize that that's not right. I realize that that Christina is the opposite. Christina and Finn are two of the people I have met who are the absolute best at not pretending to care about what you're talking about, but actually care about what they're talking about. I have to pretend. And I hate that it's like that. I don't want it to be like that. But being on the like when your mind processes stuff like being on the spectrum, you are egocentric in many ways, and not egotistical, because I ain't no egotistical. I ain't walking around talking about how I'm the bee's knees and the cat's pajamas. No. It's egocentrism, where every thought in my brain is, how is this affecting me right now? Like, I have to predict what's going to happen so that I can better expect what's going to happen. If you watch Chatting with Nuts on a Friday, Jimmy was like, you know, like, surprises, do you? I'm like, I do not. I do not enjoy surprises. I don't like being taken aback by things that I'm not prepared for. I spend an inordinate amount of processing power to predict the things that could possibly happen in the day, so that if something does happen, I had thought about it and I react better. So this is that egocentrism that's within it. I have difficulty talking about things that I don't have in common with people. And so in the South, being like a gentleman, like a guy in the South, I mean, there's not a whole lot of us here in the deep South who like complicated board games and fantasy books and anime. And
don't like
I don't like college football. I don't like the outdoors. I hate the outdoors. And I'm the only one that doesn't have a truck.
Hunting, fishing.
Now this doesn't mean they're not nice. And I like many people down here, but I just don't have a lot in common. And that is one of the reasons that one of the things that my brain does to compensate is I am really good at relating to people when I have created an enemy out of whole cloth, because then everything becomes a game. And that's why there are holy wars. That's why I, have declare war on random people. That's why I'm the revolutionary trying to overthrow the tyranny. That helps me relate to people. And I hate that I'm giving away, like I'm freaking showing how the sausage is made, but it's just easier for me to play make believe is what it is. What you know what I mean? And people who understand me, like my friends, like get it. Like I'm mean, but people don't hold me to that because I'm only it's a bit. You know what I mean? Like it's a bit. Like when I yell at Anita, like it's a bit. But it takes me a long time to realize to like accept that Anita knows it's a bit. A lot of times I'll get offline and I'll be like, you know what? I bet that person hates me now because I was taken the wrong way. And you know, sometimes I forget to turn it off, and then I hang out with people in my real life, and like we were at Sunday school last week, and they were saying that they wanted my baby to be born on the 15th of March, and I did exactly like I did on Jimmy's thing, where I'm like, no, I hate that stupid Caesar memes. I hate it, and I am fairly certain that some people there thought that I was like actually mad about it.
I don't think so.
I don't know, but I wasn't actually mad. It's a bit. Like it's a bit being like, no, like it's like I'm a cartoon character. Like I'm a sitcom character. That is how I relate because it's so hard to act. I don't know. It's hard to act normal or whatever. So this happens all the time. And even if they weren't, it's happened before.
The good thing in that situation is I was there so they can see my reaction
Oh,
and take cues from my reaction to know how they should react. So that is one good thing about having someone with you who knows you very well.
Tori says, glad you got out of the relationship.
It didn't last.
Brass is, am I your only marriage?
Oh, yes.
It would be hilarious if you weren't, and I just found out right now online.
That would not be hilarious. That would be uncomfortable.
Really uncomfortable.
But no, Alan is my first marriage. Yes. I was not, Alan's only the third person I ever dated. And the other two relationships, neither one lasted a year. So I didn't, I spent most of my life pre-Alan single.
Yeah, Christina is lovely. And you know, the first thing I said to Christina was I made a joke about the Minotaur, which is in hindsight
super nerdy.
Yes. My students always judge me. If you don't know where you're going, our church is very Byzantine. And so I was like, where's the Sunday school room? I'm afraid if you don't tell me where it is, I might run into the Minotaur or something, assuming that she was hoping that she understood.
Do you remember what I said?
I don't remember. I'm so embarrassed by it.
Our church really is a labyrinth, isn't it?
Nice. That's right. Remember? Okay. No, I don't. I'm so ashamed.
I got you.
I appreciate it. Let's get to this. Let me start this. We'll get there in a second. Hold on, Melly. Sought out college without football. Yes, exactly.
Okay, so that just like since being with Alan and understanding more about just like not just autism, but also like mental health, it's made me look back at that initial relationship and be like, I wonder if he needed like help. This is not me saying that it was an excuse or that I should have stayed with him, but I'm just like, he needed something. And I don't know if it was like medication or just counseling, but I hope he got what he needed.
Christina said no to what?
I don't know.
I don't know.
Only 2 minutes ago.
Hold on. It said no.
To giving you directions?
Probably. That's so rude.
Was that it?
Probably. That's so rude, Anita. Indeed. That's right, Brian. Okay. Are you the only marriage? I wish. That's so rude. Anita.
That question.
Yeah. I expected that from Anita. So let's answer
spontaneity.
Melly's question about this. So I need routine. I don't do well without routine. It is hard for me because, I work 10-hour days every single day, at least. Like I'm up at 5 and I don't get home till 4 at the earliest. So like I have difficulty when I have a lot planned for me, especially on the days off where I don't work.
Because there's so much of your time that's already structured for you that you don't control. So when more of that is taken away, especially unexpectedly, or if you forgot about it and it feels like a surprise, even if it was communicated.
Yes, I love that. Come on, son. You remember the one where he's got like the nerd closet like behind, but he's like, you know, supposed to be like the cool actor or whatever. But he shows Gus and Psyche his like nerd cave.
Remember that?
What? Come on, son.
I don't remember it.
Come on, son.
I'm gonna
Yes.
the dogs back
Okay, Matt. I also need a ton of downtime. I recharge by like not having something planned for me. And hold on, the dogs are coming back in. There's Sophia. You laying down, Sophia? And part of another thing that we had to get with communication is when I get home, especially when I get home late, I cannot answer a bunch of questions. Christina, this is another thing that we struggle with. Is true. Christina asks, I finally had to say, I'm like, Christina, are you actually asking, or do you want me to do this thing? Because I don't know if you're asking me, no, I don't want to do that.
Because I would often phrase requests as a, hey, do you want to make dinner tonight?
No, no is the answer.
Or do you want to, I don't know.
It's like, hey.
Do you want to talk about our budgeting?
No.
And it was really me being like, I would like to talk about our budgeting. I'm trying to initiate it. So I had to learn that I needed to be more literal with how I asked things. And then I also learned that it was not actually considerate to dump a bunch of options on him when he's overwhelmed.
I really struggle.
So dinner is in particular what I would do. I'd be like, we can have this, or this. What do you want? And I still do that some. I'm so sorry.
She is a good boss. She has employed people.
I'm not his boss.
No, she ain't my boss. We'll get back to that too.
Because that's important to us. But I've learned that I have to, or it's better. I don't always do this.
Yeah. Because
I didn't do it recently, but it's better for me to say, I was planning on doing this. If that doesn't work for you, let me know. So, and that's with things that I normally contribute to our household, like planning meals, or if I'm planning on doing some cleaning at a specific time or whatever, I'll be like, this was my plan. Let me know if that doesn't work for you. So I'm not putting anything extra on his plate. He gets decision fatigue because he's making all these little micro decisions at school all day.
It's exhausting.
And
and that's like, teaching is both a perfect job for someone with Asperger's and the worst job for someone with Asperger's, because it is very social, which is exhausting and absolutely draining. And I really don't try to pour me like, oh, I have it so much harder than everybody else. I don't. That's not what I'm saying. But it is legitimately a thing that for people on the spectrum, doing social things like being normal, trying to navigate society and all these things is physically exhausting. So I'm exhausted when I get home. And the thing when I get most upset about Christina concerning decisions is when I ask her a question and she responds like freaking Socrates with a question back, being like, what do you want to do for dinner? Well, I don't know. What do you feel like doing? It's like, if I would have said that, like I would have told you what I felt like doing by asking you. And we still struggle with this.
We do.
I don't want the ball thrown back at me. If I tossed you the ball, you can make the decision. Like, we're not playing a game. Don't throw the ball back. It's not hot potato. It's not being kind to me. I don't want the ball back. Keep the ball.
And it's not something that comes easily to me. I do not like being, I don't know, I guess it just feels rude to me to be like,
that's just your family. That's your family.
So, but he's gotten better about being like, I need you to make the decision. And then if he tells me that, I've gotten better at being like, okay, I will make the decision. So
hold on. I'm going to get to you. Hope I'm getting your question in a second. Hold on.
did that answer spontaneity?
We're coming back to that.
Yeah,
We're
that didn't really answer.
So Christina does not make all the decisions. The problem is that Christina, so this is my favorite thing. It happened today too. Christina,
oh no, what did I do?
No. It's not bad. Christina will lay out like a bunch of options or whatever. And, like she'll start explaining her point of view about what she wants to do. And before she's finished, I'm like, okay, let's do that. That's fine. Christina doesn't think that I could accurately make that decision if I didn't hear all the information. Never mind the fact that I literally just agreed. I'm like, okay, that's fine. Like, I don't need the rest of the information. Like, I agree. Like, let's do that. But she continues to explain to me because she thinks, well, you need this. What if this information changes your mind? It's like, no, it's not gonna change my mind. Like, I make decisions when I make decisions. Like when I'm in decision mode or whatever, I make them so much faster than Christina.
It is
like
so true.
I don't have to think about it for days at a time. I'm like, okay, let's do that. Boom. This is what I want for Christmas, or this is where I want to go for this thing. This is what I want to do here. And she has to think about it. And she doesn't think that I can make the decision that quickly. Like I didn't think about everything. No, I thought about everything. I just didn't need to like mull it over as long. So when I do make decisions, I make them quickly. So she doesn't make all of them. So let's go back to routine.
There was like one time that there really was some other information she didn't have.
But I acknowledge that.
One time. But it makes it hard for me to really, truly just like stop. And yeah. So when we were looking at houses, I knew that he makes decisions so much quicker than I do that I was like, I need to do most of the research that I think I need to do. And I'm not going to show him a house until I'm pretty confident that I'm okay with it.
And then what happened?
And then we saw one house, this house. We looked at literally one house and made an offer that day. Alan laid in the driveway and was like,
so much money.
It's so much money.
So much money. That's true. So neither one of us are super spontaneous people.
We're homebodies. I will tell people no if they ask me to do something last minute, not because it doesn't sound fun, but because it's just so last minute. I'm just like, no.
And I lie. And I hate that. Like, seriously, I teach my students like that you should tell the truth. And I'm for the most part, I'm one of the more honest people I know. I just think I don't like to lie. But the social lies are ones that I tell my students that I really struggle with. When someone asks me to do something, IRL, and I don't want to do it, I generally just say, I got too much work, which is true. But the problem is telling them that, like, is acting like I'm going to work on that work if I don't do this thing. I'm not. I'm going to sit and play video games. I'm not going to grade papers. It is true in that I do have great papers that I should be grading. I'm not going to do it. That's not why I'm not going out. I'm going because I don't want to. And it's not because I hate them. It's just like I have grown up around people, not my good friends, like they don't care, but like people who get, like, I'm in the South. If you don't want to do something, people sometimes take offense. It's like, I don't hate you. I just don't want to do that.
It just reminded me when I was in college at Auburn, I had this one friend, Sarah, who was the only person I've ever met in my life who would just tell you when she didn't want to do something. We'd be like, hey, Sarah, we're going to all go do this. Like, do you want to come eat with us at this place?
Oh, that's right.
She is super Southern, like super Southern accent, one of the strongest Southern accents of anybody I've ever met, like born and raised in Alabama. And she'd just be like, no. And it wasn't offensive. And that was mind blowing to me. And I was like, oh, I can just be honest and tell people when I don't want to do something.
Well, when I used to do that, when I was younger, people be like, well, why? Like if I say, I don't want, like, no, they're like, why not? And then like, I don't want to is never a good enough reason. So,
I mean, she would say, like, if we were going skating, she'd be like, I don't really enjoy skating, but y'all have fun. Or if I'm better with that. A specific restaurant, she'd be like,
oh, I'm better with that now with the food. I'm like, I can't eat that food. I'm not going. Yeah. Sorry, I'm not going. So yes, I do have an ADHD diagnosis. That is true. I do. And I take medicine.
Kind of confusing, but
it's all very confusing. Because stuff helps and then it doesn't help. And
one person said yes and one person said no. So
who knows?
One professional was like, yes, ADHD. And one professional was like, I don't see any ADHD.
Christina is a good boss. See, Nico's wife said, see it. Christina's saying you can't give too many options for dinner. Just decide. Like, just make a decision. I don't care. I don't care. How do we manage collaborative decisions?
Okay, that's a good question. Well, I mean, I think each one of us, we try to play to our strengths as a couple. Those are his places, yeah. We try to play to our strengths. So I think depending on the arena of the decision, one of us will probably take lead on the decision. It just kind of depends on what it is. And then we don't have a lot of different opinions on things. Sometimes we do, and then we just delay making that decision until we find a common ground. So for example, naming the baby, that was a really hard collaborative decision.
Like it started out as a joke, like we can't agree, and then it actually ended up almost becoming a problem where I was like, we never gonna name this baby. This is literally reenacting. We never gonna name this baby Christina. Like, we're never gonna name this baby because you don't like any of my cool names. My names are too weird for you, and your names are too boring.
So
it was exactly like that.
I suggested that.
Was that not it?
Yeah, that was.
That's the exact same thing.
So he had expressed it was really important that it be Greek or Roman.
Or something that, like,
yes.
There's nothing in my life like that, has any of like me in it. I live in a place where as my interests are not celebrated. And so I felt like I'm like, there's gotta be like something here that I can be like, hey, look, this kid has part of me in it besides
That's
DNA.
My kid.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, I want it to have meaning to me too. And so that was challenging, but we made a list we each made a list of our top 10 Greek or Roman names. And I told Alan, I was like, try to find ones that you think I might actually go for, because it was hurting my feelings that he was recommending things that I felt like he knew I wasn't going to like.
Because you're lame.
And he did. He made a list of, like, we both made a list and we compared our top 10 and we had 4 in common. So, and that was very much a collaborative decision. Neither one of us took lead, quote unquote, on that. So it was a process. It took us a long time. But I think when you look for common ground and when you're willing to get to the root of things, figuring out, like, him being able to tell me why it was important that it be Greek or Roman, and me being able to tell him why it was important that it have. Yes.
So the reason we settled on Advocacy is because it was on both of our lists, which I was shocked.
We had like 4 names in common out of 10. And then that one, I actually brought that one back up because it just was in my head for like maybe a week later. I was still thinking of it. So I brought it back up and it was like, I think this might be his name.
You want to tell her why we didn't name him Augustus? Because I would have liked the name Augustus.
My cousin has a dog named Augustus.
And we see them frequently.
And he goes by Augie and he's very cute.
We're not naming it after the dog. So, yeah, and yes, Zen, Christina is also one of the most patient and understanding people I've ever met. So it helped when she's understanding. However, I've seen Christina be mean at me. And it was over a huge misunderstanding about expectations. And this is one of the big things that we've had to learn to manage, is because remember I said that, okay, that's awesome. That's an awesome name. Hold on.
It is an awesome name.
I'm trying to
we would have considered it for sure.
Yes, Noah, how are you? I haven't seen you in ages. I'm going to see you at state. Provided Christina doesn't have the baby, like, it's not late. If he's late, then I don't know what I'm going to do.
If he's late, so sorry.
Christina, ain't nobody there. No one can. I don't have another person to drive van.
I know. I'm just going to have to leave 6 kids behind, I guess.
Or, follow me, I will come back quickly. We'll figure it out. 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 We'll figure it out.
Okay.
Anyway,
No,
So, then-
I'm human.
Hold
I'm
on.
capable of being mean.
that is so. Yes, To Kill a Mockingbird. That is why it's meaningful to her.
Mhm.
Atticus is Cicero's best friend, and it's why we know so much about first century BC is because Cicero wrote so many letters to his friend Atticus.
Which Evie was really sweet and bought us copies
I
of
know.
Cicero's letters to
Yeah.
Atticus.
And Atticus, it means man of Attica because Atticus was obsessed with Athens.
Yes, he wasn't even from there. He just loved it and sort of adopted
He
it
gave
and
himself
named
the name
himself
Atticus.
that. And that to me kind of reminded me of Alan. I mean, he's not Greek or Roman, but he just loves it and has like sort of adopted it. And then we knew we wanted to name him after Finn, his best friend, as the middle name. And so the whole theme of Atticus, the historical character, being such good friends with Cicero, went with naming him after one of his longtime
So it was all
friends.
If it was a girl, the middle name was always going to be Finn if it was a boy, and it was always going to be Claire if it was a girl, because that's my best friend and that's her best friend. Unfortunately, when we named him Atticus, I was like, we cannot name this child Atticus Finn. We can't.
Because of Atticus Finch.
So
and it's just too on the nose.
It's too on the nose. So we had to extend it. So now it's Finlay now. We just extended out what Finn's short for. Which is a super British name. Because Finn is named after his grandpa Finlay, who was a POW during World War II. It was a Japanese POW who helped bridge the bridge over the River Kwai. And he only survived because he learned to sleep while he was marching. Almost everyone else that was captured with him died. So that dude is tough as nails. So yeah, it's posh. Anyway. So one of the biggest things we've had to navigate is expectation management, because I don't deal with surprises well, and that's why I spend so much brain power predicting what's going to happen. And this is why, and it's also why, like, I just assume everybody hates me to start with. Like, Evie, I know you're like that too. We've talked about this. So when I first met Noah at State, I'm like, definitely hates me. I helped him out with Kurtaman 2 years ago. I'm like, yep, everyone here hates me. Because I'm just so used to that. I'm so used to people responding negatively to me as a person. Now I only think that part of them hate me, not all of them. Maybe eventually. So yeah. One of the things that has caused the most friction is holidays and family time. And it's mostly my fault.
That's not true. I don't think that's true. So we both have specific expectations. I did not realize I had holiday expectations. So
this is the angriest, literally the maddest I have ever seen Christina.
I behaved in very unladylike ways.
Can I tell her? Can I tell them?
Yes, you may. You may.
Let's talk it in general, and then I'll tell you what she said to me. I'll tell you what she said.
This is the first Christmas that we were married. Christmas Eve.
But talk about in general, like the expectations of holidays.
Oh, expectations of holidays. I apparently have expectations. I had never examined them, so I didn't realize I had expectations. And then after this one big explosive fight, our very first Christmas married, I had to talk it through with our counselor, and she was like, yeah, you have expectations, and every upcoming holiday you need to take time to think ahead of time what they are and communicate them to Alan, because he cannot read your mind. So
we've been married it'll be 5 years in August.
4.5 right now.
Yeah.
So 5 in August. So I think I've gotten better at that.
Yeah, 100%. Like, it's not even a problem anymore.
And it feels kind of weird to me, because it feels like a list of demands in some ways, but it's an invitation to collaborate, because sometimes my expectations are not reasonable. So I'm like, this is what I'm expecting. And then that gives him the opportunity, if there's something that he's like, I'm sorry, that's not going to happen. So like Valentine's Day, I was like, Valentine's Day, I was like, hey, I want to go out to eat together, but I don't want to do it on Valentine's Day because that's in the middle of the week. I'd like to do it the weekend after, because that's the weekend anniversary of when we got engaged. So that would be nice if we could do that. And then I was like, I don't need a present or anything. I would just like to spend some time with you. Maybe we could bake cookies or I could show you my scrapbook. So I gave him ideas. And then I also did the same thing for Mother's Day coming up in May. It's March, and I gave him Mother's Day ideas already. So I've learned that I have to.
Hold on, you did?
Yes, I did. Presents, remember?
There
were 2 gift ideas I gave you.
And I have forgotten both of them.
And that's okay. We've got time.
So another thing that if it's not part of my routine, and this is really, really hard. If it is not part of my routine, I will forget it. Like if it is not something that I do on the regular, I will forget it. I have an awesome memory for useless crap nobody cares about. But I cannot remember tasks. I am task stupid.
Should tell them about the card.
Oh, I'm gonna. That's locked and loaded.
Okay.
Anyway, so I don't like to do things, and I get really depressed during the holidays because I don't like hanging out with family. And it's not, I love Christina's family, but I love my family. I do love my family. I do not have a lot in common with my family, except for my brother. It's just not easy to be social. I'm getting there, Edie. It's not easy to be social with my family. It's just not, because Christina literally, and guys, I'm not kidding. Her and her family, they tell each other everything. Have you seen, if you've seen How I Met Your Mother, there's an episode where Ted and like Robin are like complaining that Marshall and Lily literally tell each other everything. And so I brushed my teeth today, and then after that I did that. That is Christina and her family. They talk about
it's worse
everything.
Because we also do it with our pets. We tell pet stories. And it's not just my immediate family, it's my extended family.
It's the whole family, guys. And the problem is I love that. That is so cozy to me. Her family is so cozy. But she'll be like, yeah, I told your parents about that. You said this and this and this, or a joke you told. And I'm like,
it makes him so uncomfortable.
I'm so embarrassed. Like, don't tell him about my YouTube channel. Don't tell him about this. Like, it embarrasses me because I know that it's not crap that my family would ever care about. Like, I can't imagine talking about an idea I had with my family. So I don't like hanging out with family. I don't like holidays. I just have bad memories and not fun. Whatever. Anyway, this first Christmas, I don't know what started it. I know what you wanted to do. What was I doing instead? I just didn't want to go. She wanted to look at the Christmas lights. But that's not why we were fighting.
Wait, my memory doesn't make sense, because I thought you wanted to record for YouTube, but this was before 2020. It was 2019.
I don't think it was. I think it was the second.
You think
Christmas.
It was 2020?
I think it was the second Christmas.
Well, then maybe it was our second Christmas,
because I was the most wound up the fall of 2020 because of how hard school was when we came back after COVID.
And he was super dedicated to the
YouTube. First one was fine because first one was barely post Michael. Yeah. We were with your parents like the first.
No, that's 2018.
Oh, you're right.
Married Christmas is 2019.
You're right. I still don't think it was the first one.
Maybe it was our second married Christmas. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't remember. So, I
am a delight. I don't know why more people don't see that. People don't understand. I'm a delight. Seriously. I'm like Gatorade for your mind, full of like vitamins and electrolytes for your brain space.
So my family, when I was growing up, had a tradition. Christmas Eve, we would read like Luke chapter 2 together, and then
I'm a hoot and a half.
We would open presents from family, and then the Santa presents were the next morning. So we always did something together Christmas Eve. So to me, Christmas Eve was a time to be with family, and I had told Alan, I don't care what we do, whose family we're with. I just want to be with family on Christmas Eve. And I have to play the Christmas Eve services at church. So there's usually like 2 or 3. And I was expecting that when we were done with the Christmas Eve service, we had told Alan's parents, they had invited us over for a Christmas Eve meal.
Which I didn't want to go to.
He did not want to go to this was something else I had to learn.
We're gonna get the
boundaries with his family, that I cannot treat his family the way I treat mine and just expect him to be okay with it because it's his family.
And you also ain't my boss.
So
like my family seems to think you are.
Yes, his family was always expecting me to RSVP for him.
It's very Southern, like it's very Southern thing. Like
they would text me to make plans for both of us and I would do it, but then not having necessarily consulted him, and then he would be locked in. So we learned we have to RSVP
separately for sure.
And we told his family,
but they tell her stuff. They're like, make him do this, and she's like,
no.
What do you mean make him do something? And that's a weird cultural thing, guys, where like you're supposed to be bossed around and nagged by your wife. I'm sorry, I have a boss, and it's not you. And guess what?
And I don't want to be his boss.
You have a boss, and it's you. And Dr. Steve.
Yeah.
Like you work for yourself and work at the church. I ain't your boss. I ain't your boss at all. Like people, the other problem, and so we'll get back to the Christmas story. Guys, I promise it's worth it. The other thing is my parents think that I'm still unable, like irresponsible and unable to take care of myself as an adult. So they still treat me like that all the time. My dad literally, and this crap hurts my feelings. Like it legit does. My dad came over, and my dad is a wonderful person. I love my dad. But he comes over to build the baby furniture because I don't want to do it. And the other thing is,
and it was so
he offered to. And again, guys, I have to really struggle not to be selfish. And I'm so time selfish. I am so time selfish. Jimmy and I were talking about this. This is one of the things that I'm struggling really hard with having a baby. And remind us to tell the baby story too. I'm super time selfish. And I have to be better. Like I literally did, like this past couple of weeks, I've been like, okay, I'm doing this. I don't want to do this thing. I want to stay home, but I'm doing this because I know I should. I should want to do this instead. I don't. I want to sit and I want to just sit and play video games. That's what I want to do, but I should do this. I am so time selfish. We watch a lot of Monk, and Monk is a sad show. Like, it's supposed to be funny, and it is, but it's also super sad show. And I feel like Monk a lot, but I've never felt like Monk more than in, I think it's the second season, maybe the end of first, whatever. He's going on an airplane. It's the first time he goes on an airplane, and he tries to get like something happens, got to throw something away or wipe something down, and he tells Sharona,
wine on himself.
Oh,
and has to go try to get it out of his clothes.
And he says to Sharona, he's like, will you do it? Because then I won't have to do it. And that's guys, that quote defines me. Will you do it? Because then I don't have to. Because then I won't have to. No reason. There's no good reason other than will you do it? Because then I won't have to do it. So I'm like that a lot. Anyway, my dad comes over and he's like, and Christina's not here. He's like, Alan, come here. I'm gonna ask you something. I want you to tell me the truth. Did Christina have any say in that name you picked out for your kid? I'm like, what? He's like, because that don't sound like a name a woman would pick. And I'm just like, this is why my family frustrates me, because they could not believe that I hadn't bullied Christina into taking the weird freaking Atticus Finlay name, as if it wasn't partially her idea. But that's what they think. Everyone thinks that like I'm mean to her. Christina will tell you exactly how docile I am at the house, right? Like I'll sit there. I am so, in many ways, very low maintenance. I don't need a lot of things. I don't spend a ton of money. I sit there on the couch and I read and I play video games and I do stuff on the computer. And I don't make demands of her.
He does sometimes make requests, though, so that he doesn't have to do things.
That is true. And I'll say, can you do it? But
they're not demands.
It's not demands. I'm like, hey, would you mind making me some coffee? And if she says,
usually making him coffee.
Yeah. And sometimes she says no. And I'm like, oh, all right. And I get up and I make it myself. But I make no demands. But yeah. So people think that I'm mean. It's just because of how aggressive I sound normally. I am not mean to her at all. So anyway, I did not want to go hang out with my parents.
So circling back to Christmas.
Yeah, I did not want to go hang out with my parents or whatever.
I had RSVP'd for us, and if we were still early in the relationship, early in the marriage, and I really wanted, I did not want to damage my relationship with my in-laws. So I was putting a lot of pressure on him. Like, no, you have to go because I told them we were going.
Except that I told her it wasn't going to matter. Like, I'm like, it ain't going to matter. Like, who cares? It'll be fine. They'll deal with it.
But I was feeling very like they're going to not like me, which I have people
impossible to happen.
I have people pleasing problems. So anyway, I get home from.
That's how my dad talks, Sal.
I get home from the.
Well, I had to tell him. I said it was always going to be Finn if it was a boy, Claire if it was a girl. It just happened if it was a boy, Dad.
I get home from the Christmas Eve services, and Alan announces that
I ain't going.
We're not going to dinner.
Sweeping statement. I'm not going.
And I was like, we had been trying to talk through how to set boundaries with his parents. So I was trying to be okay with it, but I was not. And then he was wanting to record for his YouTube channel.
Talk to kid named River.
If I remember correctly.
Probably. If it wasn't that, I don't want to stay home.
And I was
regardless.
I was like, no, now it's too late to make plans with my parents.
Oh yeah.
I'm not going there. And my husband's not even spending time with me on Christmas Eve.
Yeah.
Which in his mind, he was going to after he finished recording. There would still be time.
Yeah, we were going to do stuff after that. We just weren't going to go to dinner. We weren't going to go to dinner with my family, but we were going to hang out when I was done with the thing I was doing.
In my head, the second I was done was family time. The second I was done with the rehearsals.
Yeah.
Or not rehearsals, the services. Yeah. So anyway, said, I remember he was like something about, I was clearly upset, but I was trying so hard to bottle it in.
This is the worst fight we've had. Like, it was spiraling out of control.
And he was like, I can feel your negative energy and it's making me hard to work.
It is. No, so if I get really anxious, like I suffer from depression and anxiety, and I know it sounds like I'm a freaking millennial where I'm sitting here diagnosing myself with all this crap because every millennial has everything because they hang out on Instagram too dang much. Pre-social media diagnosis. So I get really, really anxious if I'm like I can't be in the room with upset people. Like, it makes me really anxious. Like, every now and then people get like mad on Jeopardy and it's super uncomfortable for me. And like, I get like, I just can't, I just feel it. And so I said that, and she stormed out.
I snapped.
She stormed out
of the house.
Like, she stormed out of the house. And I was like, didn't say anything. She stormed out and said, "Where you going, Christina?" Like, okay, just walk away. All right, I guess we're done. And so I followed her out into.
I was in my car.
Google thinks I'm talking to Google.
I got in my car.
She
started my car.
She started her car, and I said, "Christina."
I said, "Christina."
I said, "Christina." I said, "Christina." I said, "Christina." I said, "Christina."
I think you asked where I was going.
I said, "Christina, where you going?"
And I said,
and no, did you roll the windows or get out?
I rolled the window.
Anyway, she didn't roll the window. She got out, and she said, "I'm going to look at Christmas lights
by myself."
But she did not say effing.
I said the F word, which I do not say. I think that's the only time I've ever said it.
The only time I've ever heard her say that word. She said, "I'm going to look at effing Christmas lights."
And I yelled it in our driveway on Christmas Eve. We lived on a cul-de-sac, so I'm sure everybody could hear.
And I was like,
he was so shocked. And I was honestly shocked too, because it's not like me. And it had just escalated so quickly. Like, we weren't really in an argument. He was just like, "I'm gonna film." I got upset. He was like, "I can tell you're upset and it's throwing me off."
I did not understand. I didn't understand why she was so mad. I didn't understand why she was so mad.
So Tori says, "I knew Christina was scary." Y'all, like, every human being is capable of anger.
I did not. She drove off. She didn't let me go.
No, I didn't drive off.
Yes, you did.
No.
You went and looked at Christmas lights.
I did not actually look at Christmas lights by myself. We sat in the car and talked for like a long time.
Oh, I misremember that. I remember you leaving, just like I remember Legolas killing Boromir.
You just make up. You have your own headcanon.
Fatality, exactly.
Anyway, so
sometimes I'll jokingly be like, "Or what, Christina, you gonna go look at those effing Christmas?"
this year he brought it back up. It was like, no, you said, so when are we gonna go look at effing Christmas lights?
Oh, I'm funny.
We never did. We didn't look at Christmas lights.
Oh, we didn't.
That's okay. So anyway, that was the worst we ever had. And I had not learned yet to when holidays were coming up, I needed to consider what was important to me and express it. So I learned that since then. And I also learned that stuffing stuff is not healthy, because I had been just trying to muscle through and be okay with it and prioritize what was important to him and what he needed, which sounds so noble, right? But it's not when you are just denying your own needs.
Christina
can't do that perpetually.
Christina has a problem asking for what she needs, and she still struggles with it. I don't. I do from other people, not from Christina. It's so hard for me to even let Evie, who does a lot of my admin work for my channel, because she's a wonderful human being. But she asked, like, hey, can I just go ahead and set up that stream or whatever? And it is really hard for me to say yes, because I also don't like asking for what I need, except for from Christina. Then I'm like, hey,
not even what you need.
Can I, one, would you mind making some coffee? And two, do I have to go? Like, do I have to go? Like, do I have to do this thing? Like, is this something? Sophia.
She's been outside. Do you think she's hungry?
No, she wants attention. Y'all can't see this. I'm gonna try to turn it for a second.
Right,
she's hold on. She's over there. Where is she? There. We'll keep it there for a minute because she is whining. I'll lean in.
Can you guys hear her?
I mean, maybe you can't hear her. She is very upset that we're not paying attention to her. We see you, Sophia.
Toto.
We see you, Sophia. Just let her stay there.
So cute.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I get that. I understand that.
He said I love you first.
Okay. That's not a story we need to tell.
It's cute, though.
Christina, here are things. You can't tell people on the internet and students anything that makes me that is cute, because I am fearsome and vengeful.
I'm going to tell a story anyway.
No, I am vengeful. Don't tell it. I am vengeful.
We just told the story about me being not at all what people think of me, and it's completely out of character. Let me tell a story about you that's out of character.
Well, I'm going to go play with the dog.
Okay.
I'm not listening to it.
He'll be back.
And also, there's something else. One final thing we need to talk about that's important.
Multiple things people have asked that we've not answered yet.
Oh, seriously? Do you remember them?
When was the spontaneity?
I thought we answered that.
We didn't talk about spontaneity. We talked about routine, but not spontaneity. Sometimes we do things. I feel like there were other things.
Be pouting now. That's your problem, dog. What's the other thing? I thought there was something else.
I thought there was too. My brain is not.
The expectations, holidays.
So we talked about your end of holidays, having to have an exit plan is something.
We'll talk about that in a second.
But I'm going to tell this story though, because it's so cute. So Alan had said it first, and he was very sweet. He was like, no pressure to say it back. Like, I know that I'm. He knew that I was cautious, and he was like,
"Can you see Taka?"
Yes, we can see her. But he was not wanting to like rush me at all or pressure me at all. And so one time we were walking on the beach, and we had our shoes in our hands because if you're a native Floridian or if you've been to the beach recently, you know you don't walk in the sand any season with shoes on. If it's cold, you just deal with it because the sand gets on your shoes. It's terrible. So he's holding his shoes, and I don't know if I said like I have a secret to tell you, or was just hugging him and just like whispered it in his ear. But anyway, he dropped his shoe, and it was really cute. When I told him that I loved him.
I wasn't expecting it. Whatever.
It's cute.
No.
Okay, so.
Oh, hold on. The other thing. Sorry, Sam.
I was going to talk about exit plans. What were you going to talk about?
Oh, the big thing. Okay, so this is something that.
Oh, the first baby. We were going to talk about that too.
Oh yeah, that's time. The egocentrism thing. So one big thing though that Christina has had to deal with that was really hard for Christina is people on the spectrum, a common thing is special interests. And I have my special interests, but I also cycle. And my cycling was, and I'm not talking about bicycling, cycling was something that was really, really hard for Christina. And what cycling means is that I get a special interest and I'm really, really like obsessed with this particular thing or activity or whatever. And then eventually, and it happens with food too. Like literally like 2 months ago, I was eating, or a month ago, I was eating 3 popsicles a night. I haven't eaten a popsicle in over a month. But that's what I was doing. I was eating 3 popsicles a night, and now I just cycled out of them. And that happens all the time. So where like when we were dating, it was like I hadn't played video games in a long time. So like really all I did was hang out with Christina. Like we just hung out with her and her family and all that stuff. And then we got married, and I had a lot of mental health problems that I hadn't gotten dealt with yet.
Because we'd just been through the hurricane.
Yeah.
And I think he was just stuffing and trying to just muscle through. And
because
so,
I'm good in a crisis, but terrible at being inconvenienced.
So late in our engagement, there started to be some signs, but he wasn't in school because we were getting married in the summer. So he was able to, again, kind of muscle through a little bit. And then the second we
got married and I went back to school.
He went straight back to school like the day we got back from our honeymoon. And then it became apparent pretty quickly that he was struggling. Because
I lost all my margin. Like I lost all my margin and I cycled into like, I just like, and then BookTube happened and that was my special interest. And that's why I was able to put out 3 videos a week constantly and be on Discord all the time. But then I cycled away from it. It's not that I don't like it anymore. It happens with video games too. It happens with books. It happens with shows. It's not that I don't like it anymore. It's just that it is no longer all of my focus. And that's why it's so hard to get back in the swing of things. And because of that, it was hard for Christina to understand that it's not that I didn't love her anymore and that I did not want to spend time with her. And so we've had to navigate that because it looks differently than what her expectations were, which again, expectations. And so now I think we do a much better job. And part of it's my fault. I cycled into school is part of it. And when I
first got married, I feel like you cycled into video games.
Yes.
And then it was BookTube. And then it was
school. Yeah.
And I actually had the hardest time with the school one.
That's true. She had the hardest time when I cycled into my job.
Because he had been previously really resenting work.
That's true.
And so I was like a jilted lover. Like I felt and acted like a jilted lover with school, where I was like, school was the other woman.
School was my mistress.
And honestly, I think at that point I was having a little bit of a mental health crisis. So I went and talked to my counselor because my perceptions were, I knew that I was like, this is unreasonable. That I was reacting more than I needed to. But yes, that was hard for me at first, for sure. And then just learning how to advocate for him during the mental health crisis, because he couldn't advocate for himself.
Pardon the books. Thanks for dropping a line. Like, this is why I'm doing this, and not because like I'm here to heal everybody or whatever.
We don't have all the answers.
One of the things that I have liked most about my time on BookTube is that people have felt comfortable telling me about their own diagnosis or their own feelings or their own experiences being misunderstood or their own, like solidarity with being on the spectrum or mental health or whatever. And because I've had people message me being like, hey, thanks for being open about Asperger's. And it's something that I sometimes hate. And Christina will tell you that sometimes I hate the way that my brain processes information and I get very depressed. But most of the time I like it. Like most of the time, like I think it makes me interesting. But I'm glad that, people, I don't know. Like it's hard to I don't know. I could eat I'll tell you, I can eat the same thing every day.
Well, pretty much.
Most of the time.
There's one meal that I think he's never cycled off of, but occasionally, for a while, he was obsessed with breakfast for dinner, and now he's kind of turned off from it.
I know, I hate it now. What if I never cycled off of?
Your wraps.
I know, I could eat them every day.
He makes these like buffalo chicken wraps.
From ever since I was like, when I was in Franklin, who you've heard me talk about before.
Mhm.
Franklin taught me how to make these like buffalo ranch chicken wraps. And that was back in 2011. And
I didn't realize it.
if we ever are fending for ourselves for food, that's what I make. And sometimes we have to do it 2 days in a row. And so I make myself a wrap, and I make myself a wrap, and I'll eat wrap every day. I'm never tired of it. And what's the other thing I'm never tired of? But we don't have it as often.
Wings.
Like clockwork. We have wings every other week, like clockwork. I love wings, you understand. And Christina's wonderful because she has to eat a lot of stuff that she doesn't particularly want to eat, because otherwise we'll have to make 2 dinners.
And I don't want to make 2 dinners.
And I don't want to.
But that's why we instituted the on your own night.
Yeah.
Every now and then.
Mhm.
Probably once a week we have an on your own
Exactly.
night. So I can eat whatever I want and he can eat whatever he wants. And we make our own meals.
Yeah. So cycling it was just hard. And I have to. People say say bad things about me, like I'm a terrible husband or whatever. But I have to genuinely make an effort to want to make myself do things, not with my wife, but like do things that my wife wants to do, as opposed to asking her to do things with me that I want to do. If that makes sense? Because I'm so time selfish. Like, I don't want to be that way, but I am. Like I am. And I know like that sounds horrible, but that's just how my brain operates. And so it is better that I do the right thing than want to and not. You know what I mean? So
one thing that's helped me understand that, because egocentric can sound like and can look like selfishness, and we can all be selfish at times. So I'm not saying Alan's never selfish, but
I can definitely be like actual selfish,
but
for sure.
But also, Alan has lived and operated in a world that didn't understand him, and I do understand the principle of like you can't pour from an empty cup. So if you are not in a safe, secure place, you're not going to be able to show up as your best self. So it makes sense to me that Alan has to constantly kind of take care of himself, because he lives in a world that has not taken care of him, if that makes sense. And so when he feels safe, then he has more to give as far as being selfless and choosing to do things that aren't necessarily his cup of tea, but he knows are important to me.
Terry and his wife have on your own night too. That's how you do it.
It's kind of
fun. On your own night means that I make what I want for dinner. I make a wrap. That's what it means. And then Christina makes whatever she wants, because the problem is I can't eat a lot. Like I can't eat vegetables. I have a this is also very common in people on the spectrum, just because it's a texture thing. One day I'll talk about Cocoa Puffs, but that's not gonna be today.
Is that on your list over here?
Maybe. It might be about food. It might be under the food thing.
You need to add it so you don't forget. Cocoa Puffs.
Look, there is nothing that people will get more offended about than you saying that I don't want to eat that. I don't know why people are so freaking butthurt about food.
It is a trigger.
And Zen and I very frequently make the wrong call. I am addicted to video games, because video games have always been my comfort with like my entire life. Like I love RPGs. I just love them. And they're also really low maintenance. as far as like brain power, and I don't get overwhelmed when I play video games. So I often make the wrong call with video games, and it is a constant struggle. Like sometimes I'll literally be like, if I want to be productive when I get home, I tell Christina when she does work, I'm like, hide the controllers, because then I can't play when I get home, and literally I'm forced to do work.
Although, you guys, I realized recently he accidentally gave himself away. I've been hiding them in the same place.
I didn't give myself away. I just I just knew where it was.
I was home, and rather than asking me where they were, he went and got one.
But that's the only time
I was like, you know the hiding place.
That's the only time I've done that.
Well, I was already home, so he could have just asked me. But honestly, it showed that he had been exerting self-control even when I hid them, because he knew where they were. So now I've been putting them in different places when he asks me to hide them.
So Sal asked, I'm going to hit these questions.
Okay. That is tough, because I want to come to his defense all the time.
You should.
And well, sometimes I want to intervene ahead of time because I'm worried that something you say or do will offend people, and I want to protect you from that. And I've had to learn that communicates to him, because I've tried that early when we first got married. I don't remember. I would like coach him on like social things, and then that's not helpful. That's communicating to him that he's not good enough as he is, and that I don't accept and love him as he is.
Oh yeah,
so
I forgot about that.
I don't do that anymore.
I'm really good at forgetting. Like Christina will tell you, I do not hold
real grudges.
They're not going to believe this. I just realized what I'm about to say.
You don't hold.
I do not
grudges.
hold grudges when
real grudges.
If like she hurts my feelings, I have forgotten it.
He legitimately forgives.
It's gone. I've forgotten it. We're done. Oh, we're done talking about it. Guess what? My feelings aren't hurt anymore. I am elastic in that way. Christina's not.
I have a much harder time moving past things. So anyway, I have to not try to save him from those ahead of time, because then I'm communicating to my husband that he is not wonderful just the way that he is. So that's something I've had to stop doing. But initially I tried to. I've had to learn I cannot control how other people respond to him, and especially by trying to coach him on how to interact with them. And so that was the most important thing. And then there are times I think that I've jumped in comment sections. It's not often,
but rare.
It's not.
Oh, it's on the ones where we're on them together, and someone like literally said that I was yelling at you, and you had to go in there and be like, "He's not yelling at me, you twerp."
That's not what I said at all, but I did say he's not yelling.
That is what you said.
That was his shorthand.
That is what you said.
And then I actually wrote out like paragraphs.
Oh my God, that's too much.
But so I think for the most part, I don't jump in and defend you in the comment section.
Well, most people are generally nice in the comment section, unless the One Piece Gen Pop has discovered me, in which case they are ableist. How about that one?
So it does certainly bother me if there's something negative about my husband. And honestly, I've had some issues with some friendships where I had to set some boundaries and be like, hey, like you can't talk about my husband that way to me. Like that's not okay.
That's true.
And learning how to talk through, because no one wants to go around, and you shouldn't go around airing all your dirty laundry when you're struggling in a relationship, like when there's hard times, right? But also sometimes you need a sounding board to work through things. And so I, with my counselor, came up with some boundaries for how to talk about hard marital situations with third parties, like friends, in a way that's constructive rather than destructive. So it was, if someone is blaming Alan, that's not helpful. If someone is telling me how to manage Alan, that's not helpful.
Yes,
because I cannot control him. That is not my job.
You're not my boss. I don't know why people think you are. Like you're not my boss or my handler.
No, I'm not. And I don't want to be. So what I need is help managing my own emotions and my own responses, because that's what I actually have control over. So,
You come.
Jimmy. But anyway, I had a friend that did not really respect or understand that boundary.
Yeah, but I love her.
I love her too. And I had to learn that I couldn't talk to my friend. She was not a good source to help me work through those hard things. And that's okay. Not every friend can be there for that.
Look, Finn,
for the gritty stuff.
Look, Finn is my best friend, and it is really hard to talk to Finn about emotional stuff because that's just not. It's just not what we talk about. Like, it's just not. Like, it's just. I don't have a ton of friends that I can talk to about emotional stuff. We talk about video games and about how to fix the world and about how I hate him and daily.
He's like, I hope the stock market
every
crashes.
day. If I had a genie,
and you lose
one of my
all
wishes,
of your
one of my wishes would be the stock market drops to zero because he would be ruined.
We would also be ruined.
No. We have so much less to lose. And you know what? I'm willing to take that bullet. I am willing to take it for his utter ruination. So that is what I
friends, guys.
Yeah, 100%. So let me cycle through this really quickly. So yes, I was fired from a job because I worked in dialysis, right? And I was not a good employee at many of my jobs. I cycle. I'm always a great employee right when I start, and then I'm over it because I also don't enjoy what I'm doing. Anyway, I was working in dialysis, and I went on leave, and my boss had told me that I needed to be on a call, an important call for something that I was supposed to be on or whatever. Well, I knew I was going out of town that I had, taken my PTO for. I emailed the person in charge of the call because there's a bunch of people supposed to be on the call. And the person I emailed is higher up in the organization than my boss was. So I thought by getting that person's permission, that person was like, oh, no, have fun. Like, whatever, like, have fun out of town. They'll send the materials, whatever, in an email, whatever. I got back and I got called in the office and said, you weren't on that call like you were supposed to. And I was like, okay, yeah, but I emailed literally like the whatever manager, whatever, that I wasn't going to be. And they said it was fine. It's like, yeah, I told you to be on that call. I'm like, yeah, but they said it was fine. And she fired me. And I was like, what? Like, I still didn't understand. I could not understand that I had gotten permission from someone higher up the ladder. That person is it's the person who was having the meeting. They said it was fine, and they are of greater power. And I didn't understand it. I didn't understand it at all. And I hit like a spiral. Like I was not well. I did not understand. And that was when I, went to the doctor again. And I told that exact story. I'm like, I don't understand. Like, I do not know why. Now, well, I mean, it's not the first thing I had done. Like I had taken too long for lunch. As if that is something that, people do. And, I took shortcuts. Of course I did, but it's like shortcuts on like, not like on healthcare stuff, but on like, I didn't quite sweep all the corners or whatever. But I mean, I don't know. Like, I don't know. The lady, not my boss, but like the lady who was immediately over me didn't like me because I was like, she wanted to stay all the time. Like, this job was for life, right? And so she always wanted to stay like late with these patients and stuff and like doing stuff. And she always wanted me to stay. And I'm like, I'm not gonna stay. I'm going home. Like, I'm not a nurse. This isn't my life. I'm going home. There are no patients here. Like, I'm not going to sit here and pore over patient records. Like, I want to go home, lady. I'm sorry that this is all you have and you stay here till like 6:30 every night. I'm not going to do it. And she apparently wanted me to and thought I should. And so she complained about me a lot. And the other nurse did not think that I should and was a voice of reason. But this other lady was insane. Anyway, but I I mean, I'm not a great employee. Like, I wasn't a great employee.
You're better now.
I mean, I am, but mostly because I get left alone and can do things that I want to do. I care about what I do. Also, it helps when you care about what you do.
And you just
Yes, it does
matured
sound like
too.
the yes. I'm also much more mature than I was. So the last thing we'll do, and then we'll go, because this is only supposed to be an hour. Now it's kind of 2 hours.
Sorry, guys.
Here is the ultimate example of egocentrism, and Christina was wonderful. She was not unkind to me, and she understood. She gave me space to feel the way that I do, because this is what my brain did. So, in case you guys don't know, right before my accident in December, like right before, like 2 weeks before, right?
I think a week.
Oh, a week before I got my accident. It was literally, we're going to bed, because this is something that Christina does. Is Christina waits until we are in bed, like going to bed, like 10:30, 11 o'clock. And then she tells me something.
By the way,
that gets me worked up. It's something's gonna stress me out. And she tells me right as we're going to bed, something's gonna stress me out. And then I end up staying up late because I'm stressed out about it. And I have to complain for 15 minutes about how much it stresses me out. So ain't no one sleeping. I don't know why it has to be said when we're going to bed, but it does.
I'm not sure. I don't remember it being that late.
It was.
Okay.
It was, because we were in bed.
Okay.
Regardless, she tells me that she's pregnant, and now we lost this baby because it was a week later I got my accident and the trauma and whatever, and so we had just found out we were pregnant, but it's the first time, and I did not handle it well. I wept, and not tears of joy. I was very upset, because all I could think about was how my time was now gone. And I already didn't have any time. And now I'm certainly not going to have any time. And how am I going to keep doing the stuff that I'm trying to do at school and with the other things I want to do? And like, that's all I could think about. And that's like, I was so upset because I was unable, like, I couldn't think about anything other than how my life was about to be affected, like in a negative way. And that's what I'm talking about. Like, this is what, like, someone on the spectrum, and like, it's a common thing with people on the spectrum, but me particularly, I have to fight this constantly, because I know that ain't the right response. I know it's not the right response. Like, I'm not stupid. Like, it's not like I think I'm doing the right thing. I don't. I know that this is not how people are supposed to react when you find out you're pregnant. You're supposed to be happy. No, I was not happy. I was, because it was, one, a surprise, which we've established I don't handle well.
Well, we were trying.
Yeah, but it was a surprise.
But it was still,
Anyway.
You're never really ready.
Yeah, I handled it very poorly. Now, by the end of it, I was okay. Like, by the end, I was like, it's going to be fine. I was like, it's going to be fine. Mm-hmm. And then a week later, like, when I got my accident, like, I was already fine with it by that point. But then I got hit by a car and we lost it, which was very tragic. And Christina still cries all the time. And that's another thing that I don't understand is I have made my peace and am sad, but don't think about it because I don't want to be sad. But Christina thinks about it all the time and cries more. And that sounds like I'm being callous, but I'm not. Like, I'm not being callous. I'm trying to report facts to you. But I have to understand. I have to be nice and understand. Right? Like, I don't yell at you for it. Like, sometimes I'm like, why are you still like, why? Sometimes I go, Christina, you cannot still be sad about this.
And I said, yes, I can.
And then I'm like, oh, okay. All right.
So I will add that we talked extensively about, before we started trying to have kids, we talked a lot about how we were going to feel about it, and decision making too. One thing that I forgot to mention, Alan second guesses really big decisions. And so I've learned that, like, I have to know rock solid when we make a decision together that it's the right thing, because he's going to go through a phase at some point where he's like, did we do the right thing? And if I'm not confident, then we're both like, oh no, what have we done?
So much of my life was as difficult because I made really big decisions, like quitting a job on like emotion, or like I just made decisions too quickly because I felt like it and regretted it. And I still bear those wounds. And so I am terrified to make any big decisions. Yeah.
So, yeah. So when we decided that it was time to try to have kids, I had basically told Alan, I'm ready. I don't want to pressure you. And it's very important that you are also ready, because I know you're going to second guess it. And I don't need to have any doubt in my mind thinking that I like tricked you into it, or talked you into something that you weren't ready for. So I was just like, I'm ready. Let me know when you're ready to talk about it. And so he did bring it back up, and he did tell me that when he was like, I am ready, but I don't think my first response, we talked about how he was going to react. And he told me, like, I think I'm going to be upset. I think my first emotion
I was not lying.
is going to be like fear. And so that he had set that expectation in my head was helpful, because you see all the cute videos online of like the women being like, we're pregnant, and the husband is like tears of joy, or he like hugs her and they spin around.
So glad we didn't film
that.
That
is not what our experience was. But
my experience was, it was the Michael Scott when he figures out no.
It wasn't quite that bad, but it was maybe close. And because we had talked about it, like how he was going to respond, and because we had taken our time deciding that this was something we both wanted, we were ready to try, I was able to have space for his emotions without it dampening mine. Like I was able to hold my joy while having space for his fear, knowing that this was also something ultimately he wanted.
And that's another thing that Christina's really good at now, is she does not let my sometimes curmudgeonly response to things dampen her joy. She calls it poo-pooing on her dreams.
Yes.
If she wants to, like, if she's like wants to do something and I'm like, why? Like, that's all. She can predict when she say, okay, so someone told me this. I'm like, Christina, what am I going to say? What am I going to say next? She goes, why? I'm like, exactly. That's what I'm going to say. Because anytime she says, so-and-so wants to do this and this and this, I say, why?
Or depending on what it is, sometimes he goes, what?
She can predict it at this point. Evie, I did not know this, but Christina and I feel for you. Christina especially. I was just saying just Christina, but I do too. But Christina is more able to be empathetic than I am.
I think Evie may have told us.
If I have forgotten.
But I think it was after the
Advocacy. If I have forgotten, I forget things all the time. I apologize. But so I guess if Evie's crying this much later, then I guess that's fair. That's fair. Yes. So I do. Hold on. I'll talk about that in a second. So we're gonna, yes, like composting, exactly. I poo-poo all over. I'm like, Christina, it is more expensive and a big waste of time to do this. Thank goodness she got pregnant, because then she can't compost because you're not supposed to.
Make me stop temporarily.
The internet made you stop because it's bad for pregnant people. I didn't make you stop. Get out of here. That's freaking doctors and their stupid medical advice made you stop. So you blame freaking.
To be fair, I don't think I would have discovered that. So
well, I looked it up for you. Blame the Surgeon General, Sanjay Gupta. Is Sanjay Gupta the Surgeon General? I don't think he is. Anyway, hold on. A couple more questions, then we're going. Hold on. So yes, we've talked about this. It is my desperate hope that our child is not on the spectrum, and only because I do not want him to experience the same difficulties that I experienced in life. But by the same token, my parents did not know. First of all, Asperger's wasn't even diagnosed until 95. My parents did not know what was wrong with me. We will be able to know, and therefore be more understanding, therefore leading to hopefully a better upbringing than me. My parents did the best they could. But they did. I mean, it's just
They
like,
did what they
again,
could with the information
it's also
they
the
had.
80s and the 90s. Mental health is not a thing in the 80s and the 90s. You swept under the rug. You know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, we're concerned, but
And we know to kind of look for it, I guess, because I think statistically it's more likely that we will have a child who's neurodivergent in some way. So hopefully it would be something we would be able to catch early so that we can help advocate and support our child.
yeah. Do I feel my egocentrism be a hindrance on the village? Yes. Yes. Like that's what, when I was talking to Jimmy about, like, we were talking about being time selfish. And that is one of the hardest things that I'm gonna have. One of the biggest adjustments I'm gonna have to having a kid is, hold on, I need to read something Mitch about. Yeah. I love Mitch. But one of the hardest things is, and I've already told Christina, is some people, and I understand, and I get it. Like, for some people, their family's their life, and they live to parent a child or to be a husband, and like I get it. I cannot do that. Some people, their job is their life. Like, they live to work. No, I have to have time that I feel is mine, and that I'm doing something that I want to do, that no one else is making me do, that there's no obligation free time. And I know that having a child is going to take away a lot of that time, but we've already talked about it, and we're going to find a way for that to happen. But it won't be as much as I normally get, obviously. Like, I'm not unreasonable. Like, I know, like, I understand that my life cannot carry on the exact way that it is now. Like, I know that. That does not mean I like it. And it does not mean that it will be easy. It's very, very hard. I do not like, it has something to do with like parasites.
Yeah, maybe the like chemicals that are created
And
when the gases that are released.
And parasites.
Yeah. Because yucky things live in the compost.
So yeah, so it's just gonna be like, it's just gonna be hard.
And part of what's gonna be really hard is that we don't.
Yeah. Autism isn't egocentrism, but it gives it, like, when everything you think is about how things are going to affect you, that's egocentrism. It's not being egotistical. Like, a lot of people confuse egocentrism with egotism. It's not egotism. It's just, like, I always think about how something's going to affect me, like where I'm going, how this is going to affect my mood. Where am I going? What am I doing? How is this event going to affect my time and stuff? And that's not everybody. That's just one of the common things that that pops up. So yeah, it's going to be hard.
And he says often, like, that he worries that he won't be a good dad. And I'm like, I know you'll be a good dad.
That's awesome. That's awesome. And yeah, listen, again, egocentrism does not mean like there is no way that I'm ever going to not be able to, like, this is how my brain works. Like, it's worked this way for however old I am, 41 years. This does not mean that I cannot put other people first and do other things first. Like, I am able to do that. I do that every freaking day at my stupid job with my moron kids. But it doesn't mean that I'm not going to be like, man, there was a time when I used to have time. And again, I also don't have kids yet. And once you have a kid, everyone says that things change. You think about things differently, et cetera, et cetera. So we'll see. Like being egocentric in your thinking doesn't prevent you from being a good parent.
No.
Yeah, theory of the mind. Like, well, one of my videos is going to be about mind blindness, because that's why I think everybody hates me. It's because I hate everybody. I know, freaking 41. I did say it in a pose that could, yes, exactly. The freaking Kaye has it right. At any rate, I meant to do this for 1 hour. We've done it for 2 hours. There will be more, and I'll have Christina. Yeah. Again, everyone thinks about themselves and has to, but that is the first lens through which everything goes, and I arrange things around it. And it's just because I try to predict and try to plan, and so that I'm not surprised. And because I don't like being even slightly uncomfortable or inconvenienced.
And I think
Remember, can you do it? Because then I won't have to do it.
I think the hardest thing the thing that will be the hardest for us about this is everything else we navigate by managing expectations. We don't know what to expect. We have no idea what to expect. And that's scary. And it will be an adventure, but it will be an adventure that we get to take together. It'll be a learning curve for both of us.
And y'all listen to the way Christina talks about stuff. I can't talk about stuff that way. Like, I can't say it's going to be an adventure that I can't even do it. I can't even pretend. I can't even fake it. That's just not how I talk. You are so much better at talking than I am. I'm just like, man, I ain't gonna have no time. I don't have any money. The child doesn't do anything for 6 months. Like they say, oh, we got 3 weeks left. No, we don't. No, we don't. We've got 9 weeks left because it doesn't do anything till 6 weeks. Doesn't even laugh till 6 weeks. Poop, cry, sleep, eat. Doesn't even laugh for 6 weeks. I'm funny. It's gonna be blow to my ego.
When the kid doesn't laugh.
Not gonna laugh at anything. Anyway.
But we've talked a lot about we need to maintain our identity as people, not just parents.
Yeah, that's what she's worried about, is becoming like mom is it.
Yes, or expecting him to be dad is it. Like, and I know.
Okay.
Like we need to find ways to, because it's not healthy to idolize your child and make them your identity. That's not healthy for the kid.
That's the other thing we do in the marriage is like, it's not my job to be half of you. Like,
we are two complete people.
Correct. Like I can't
complete in and of ourselves.
If you're relying on me for everything, it's not gonna happen. You're gonna be disappointed because I am disappointing.
So you are not disappointing, but no human being is capable of bearing the weight of all of our hopes. Someone told me one time, hope is actually a heavy thing. And if you put all of your hopes on another human being, like they can't bear that. They can't carry that. They're not capable. Evie said earlier, I don't know if you saw her comment, like, Alan's doing weird things. That means the stream is about tired. He's going to wrap up. She knows you so well. Anyway, I think that about covers it.
Yeah. So we'll be back. Or I'll be back at least. Maybe no one will watch it if you're not here. Well, I agree. Christina knows so much more than I do.
I don't know more than you do. You're so smart. But I
am smart.
You're very smart.
Yes.
You're so smart.
No, she ain't read about no animated rape, carrying and dragging a fur. No, she didn't know anything about that. But I understand. That's heavy. They have a 2-month-old. She doesn't laugh. She doesn't smile. Man.
The babies, they have little personalities. It takes a little while, but it's not like they literally just lay there and do nothing. They sleep a lot, but they like grunt and coo and make little noises and
it's gonna be our baby.
Anita, that's exactly what I'm gonna do. I'm just gonna hand him the baby sometimes.
That's right, Joe. Anyway, boom! Adventures in Aspergers, video 1. Hopefully this was interesting, and it's not really anybody to learn anything, but just a place where we can all be open about, I don't know, communication, crap that's wrong with us, whatever. What did Tori say? Destigmatizing.
And I think feeling safe, knowing that you're accepted as you are.
Word.
It's very important.
Yeah. Anyway, I am excited, but I'm also terrified. She is more.
I'm excited.
She's more excited than terrified. I'm the
terrified
opposite.
too, but less terrified. I'm not really processing all the things that are going to be hard.
Word.
So I'm probably going to get there and then be like, whoa, this was not what I expected. So it's good that we balance each other out. He talks about his fears. It reminds me that it's not all going to be rainbows and sunshine. I talk about my hopes and dreams, and it reminds him that it's not all going to be
Horrible.
just the hard work.
Well, I comfort myself with telling myself that no matter what she says no to, I'm going to say yes to, so that I will be the good guy.
So the kid will love it more.
Yes. So that is so I think it's a good place to close. Now that I've revealed my master plan, I will slowly turn the child against you by breaking his stuff and telling him that you did it.
Oh, goodness.
So yeah. So I think it's a good place to stop. So now all the people in the comments can be like, terrible father, terrible husband. That's not funny, Conan O'Brien. That's fine.
It's not funny, Conan O'Brien. What?
That's what that voice is. Anyway. But I will say, guys, if y'all sit there and act like your crap don't stink and that you carry a freaking baby, like, ladies, y'all got it, because I ain't doing it. Like, if it was up to me to have babies, we'd all die, because I couldn't do it. Like, I can't do it. Like, she talks about what like is going to go into labor and stuff. I'm going to pass out just from thinking about it. I couldn't do it. So y'all are the real heroes. All right, guys. So we will talk to you guys at some point.
Can I say one more thing?
I mean, you say whatever you want.
Just as we want to create a safe space for all of you guys to be able to be honest about like what your experience has been and where you are in life and everything. Thank y'all for being a safe space on the internet, particularly.
Oh, that's true. Because
my husband, because
people can be mean.
People can be mean, and
it hurts my feelings.
And I'm not on the internet a ton, but Alan is a lot, and this has overall been a very positive, safe place for him. And so,
Tori's a doula.
Thank you, guys.
Tori,
that's cool.
I ain't doing it. I am a do-notla. She's a doula. I am a do-notla.
You made fun of my I did a hike joke, and then you said that.
That's true. Not my best work. Not my best work. All right, guys. I'll talk to you later.